Hey, what is up you guys? So before we get into this video, I just wanted to give you guys a little bit of insight to what this video actually is. So basically what this video is this is an old video that I had since 2021 where I actually worked on replacing the starter on my very first Chevy that I'd ever owned. So if you guys enjoyed this video, then make sure you guys leave a like and leave a comment down below. Also, before I begin, I also wanted to give a shout out to these 3 subscribers right here for subscribing to the channel and turning on the post notifications so they never miss another video. Thank you guys so much for the support, and with that being said, let's get right into the video. Hope you guys enjoy. Stay Surgie, stay tuned. One Beetle, 2 Beetle. What is up you guys? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, good day. Hope you guys are having an amazing day today. My name is Brennan, aka Surge. Welcome to Surgie Studios, and this is my K1500. So this right here, guys, is my 1999 Chevrolet K1500 Silverado. It's actually not a Silverado, it's actually an LS, but I'm still gonna call it a Silverado. And her name is Haas. Now what I got in my hand here, I got my mass airflow sensor, and you guys can see on the ground right there, I also got my new starter. My starter went out last night, left me stranded. So now we're gonna go ahead and I'm going to show you guys how to install a K1500 5.7 liter 350 Vortec starter and mass airflow sensor. Let's get it. Hello, Nemesis. So the tools we'll need for this is a basic socket set, as well as a 3/4 inch drive socket and ratchet. 3/4 inch drive ratchet. Whole bolt set, let's go. I will start working on this thing really soon, you guys. I just want to get the valves adjusted, but first I need to get a feeler gauge before I can do that in order to properly readjust the valves. Before I get started, guys, I think I might actually give you guys a little tour. So this is what the inside looks like. It's a little bit messy right now just because I haven't had time to clean it, and holy shit, it is hot in here. Whoa, okay. There's all my Easter candy. All right, let's get started. Son of a... See, this is what happens when you don't have a door panel and you don't have a functioning door handle. All right. Roll down the window in here. So here is the 350 5.7 liter Vortec small block that is in these Chevys. This is the higher up motor from the 5 liter 305. So this is one of the biggest motors. The second biggest motor that you can get for this truck in a gasser. It's actually a 454 big block that you can put in these trucks as well. It's mainly for the 2500s and 3500s, but you can also get even a 6.5 Detroit diesel to put in here as well. And that also includes the 1500s, which is what mine is. It's a half ton. So yeah, let's get this started. All right, so let's see what we got here. Let's see what we're working with. Let's open up the box of the starter and we'll see just what we're working with here. Okay. So here's the new starter assembly. There's actually a $40 core charge on these as well. Oh yay. Look who's home. Let's see what size bolt we need for that. I'll show you guys exactly where it is. So if you guys crawl under the truck right here, you guys can see the starter is right here. So this whole assembly right here is the starter. And in order to take it out, it looks like we need a 10 mil bolt right here. So we need like a 10 mil socket to put there. Oh, where's the other one? I can't really see. Oh, there's another one. Actually, no, there's one right there. Oh, that's weird. I actually don't see one. All right guys, so I decided to start off with the mass airflow sensor. So what we're gonna do is we're going to disassemble the intake assembly. So to start off, there's one screw right here. It's just a little plastic screw and tab that holds the intake in place over top of the throttle body. So we'll just take that out and then pop this vent hose off right here. This vent hose goes down into the valve cover right here. And then we'll take our 3/16 flat bladed screwdriver and just go ahead and start unscrewing the hose clamp that holds the intake piping, or the intake hose, over top of the actual intake itself. Go ahead and pop that off. I already disconnected the wiring harness leading to the mass airflow sensor. I do have my replacement part down there. So now we got to go ahead and remove the actual sensor itself. So we're going to go ahead and I'm going to unscrew this other side of the hose. That way we can get full access to the mass airflow sensor, because right underneath the hose is where the actual sensor is sitting. There we go. This intake hose off. I might have to do this off camera because I have to use both my hands. All right, guys, so with the piping off, this is what the mass airflow sensor is supposed to look like. You guys can see in there, there's like a little mesh piece inside. Now, sometimes the mass airflow sensor can actually get gummed up in this mesh piece down here at the very bottom. Sometimes you can get some deposits in there, such as dirt, dust, and debris. And it's always best to change out your air filter if this doesn't immediately solve the problem. So that's exactly what I did. I ended up getting myself a nice red Spectre air intake. So I'm just gonna go ahead, take this off, and then we will go ahead, disconnect this wiring harness right here. That way we could take the rest of the intake out and the mass airflow sensor. So on the mass airflow sensor, there's another hose clamp that's holding the mass airflow sensor in place. We need to take that off and then we can remove the defective part. Very easy job. That's what I love about these Chevys, as well as the 350 Vortec. It's actually the 350 small block, believe it or not. And that's also one thing that I really, really love about these trucks, is that if you're looking for a used truck for $1,500 to, let's say, $2,000, $3,000 for like a nice 88 to 99 K1500 or C1500, these things are definitely the way to go, especially the four-wheel drive ones, which is the K series trucks. And they're very easy to work on. They're super, super simple. They've been making these motors since what, 1953? As far as that goes, they're super easy to work on. Parts are readily available. I just replaced my master cylinder for the brakes. I also got me a new reservoir. Age is one thing, because 99 was the last year that they made these trucks. That's what year my truck is. So we want to take our flathead screwdriver, and we have to take off this hose clamp right here. This one's slightly different because it has this little notch right here, so you kind of have to work it over the notch in order to hook, because that's what holds the mass airflow sensor in place. Now, sometimes if you get a stuck bolt, you might want to get some PB Blaster or WD-40, or brake clean also works. As you guys can see, this one broke free pretty easily. This out, it's kind of hard to do it one-handed. Trying to give you guys the best angle I possibly can. I'll also give you an update video pretty soon, guys, on why I haven't made videos in like the past year and why I haven't uploaded anything and why you guys haven't heard from me. So that video will be coming soon, so stay tuned. All right, so now that we got the hose clamp all completely disassembled and everything, now we just got to work it over this tab. So just take your flat bladed screwdriver and just slowly creep it over the tab. You don't want to break it either, especially if it's rusted. That's also another common problem with these trucks, is that they are rust buckets. And clearly, well, you guys can tell just by looking at my truck, including the common spots, such as the cab corners right here. Also, sometimes your metal can talk to you. Oh, yep, see, it gets more. So it's more solid up here, like if you hammer it. All of a sudden you get something like this and it sounds different. So your metal can actually talk to you when you're doing rust strips. That's a good little trick that I wanted to point out. I actually got that courtesy of Power Nation. If you guys don't know what Power Nation is, they basically build a lot of different cars and trucks. They have multiple series, and they are actually a TV show that you guys can go watch on YouTube. I recommend going to their channel if you guys want to see some really awesome builds, including the all-wheel drive swapped K1500 from a Silverado SS. I definitely recommend watching some of those. But yeah, if you're really into neat builds, you guys, definitely check out Power Nation with the link down in the description box below, or you guys can click up here at the top right-hand corner of the video, and you guys can go check out the info card that'll also lead you to their channel. Regardless, they make some pretty crazy projects, and I highly recommend that you guys go check them out if you're into that sort of stuff. So let's continue. All right, so let's move this piping out of the way. Got the starter right here. Now we just gotta take out the other tab, which is on the other side. Now, in hindsight, it's actually a little easier if you take the actual intake off or the air filter off, because then it's not in your way. So that's exactly what I'm gonna do. So give me just 1 second. All right, guys, so right here, we got the new mass airflow sensor, the unit in full. So I'll give you guys a little look-see and show you guys exactly what you're looking for when you're changing this. Like I said before, it's a really easy job. There's the mesh grill that I was talking about before that can get gummed up. It can also cause a misfire, not leading enough air for a proper air fuel mixture. So make sure that this is cleaned out, because that can easily be a problem. And it can also cause a misfire if it's not cleaned properly, or possibly just the actual sensor has gone bad. So this is what to look for, and this is what the actual unit looks like in whole. I just wanted to show you guys that real quick. Now, you'll notice on the side here that there's an arrow. Now, you actually want to have that arrow correspond to what way the sensor is pointing. So as you guys can see, the arrow is pointing this way, and the cross right here is facing outward. All right, so this right here is what connects to your actual intake, or your air, what is it called again? Air filter. All right, so now that we got that, I'm actually going to loosen this up more. It's always easier if you take the part completely off, because you're going to be taking this whole sensor out anyway. So it's always best to just take it off completely and then reapply it once you put the new product on. So now just take the screwdriver, pry it over the prong like this, and there you go. Now the clamp is off and it is free. So now you should be able to get out the mass airflow sensor. Now this can be kind of tricky, especially if it's the stock mass airflow sensor from the factory. These things can be pretty locked in there, especially with age. So you kind of just want to work it back and forth, and oh, mine actually came out with no issue. Now, if you get confused, and if you ever get lost and you don't know what way it's facing, the easy way is to look for this right here, all right? So there's a little reset button right here, okay? And this button has to face towards the intake, well, towards the end of the intake. So what you wanna do after that is you just wanna take your new sensor and install it into the tubing like so. Again, make sure the arrow is facing the correct way. And then after that, after you get everything aligned, you can go ahead, put your band clamp back on and reinstall it. All right, so now the easy way, if you don't want to completely unscrew this entire clamp, thus causing a mess sometimes, especially if they're rusted. I've had that happen before. So just work it over with your flathead and then twist it forward, and then that tab will line up with the sensor. So now the tab is poking out through the clamp. That's what you want. And then take the other side and do the same thing. Work it around with a screwdriver if you need to. That's always the easy method. And you always want to make sure that this is centered in correctly. Once it's all in place, you can take your band clamp, tighten it back up, and prepare for reinstallation. You also want to be careful, you guys, because I actually just realized that when you're tightening this, especially if it's rusted, you can easily move it out of place and those tabs can sneak back under clamps. So you want to be kind of careful, because this process can be kind of tedious. But that's the best thing about being a mechanic, is that patience can be your best virtue, but patience can also be your greatest enemy. So I just want to point that out. Big old Detroit diesel just passed the house. All right, so now this is easier to do with hand tool or with power tools, but hand tools, it is completely doable. So you don't have to get discouraged if all you have is hand tools. I just want to point that out now. So there we go, guys. New mass airflow sensor is in. Old sensor, if it has a core charge, put it back in the box and bring it back to the parts store where you got it from, whether if it's Advanced, whether if it's AutoZone, whether if it's Napa, whether if it's Rock Auto, whatever. If it has a core charge, always save the old part until the job is done. All right, so now we can go ahead and reassemble intake once again and prepare it for reinstallation back into the truck. So the first thing you want to do is you want to prep your intake filter. So you want to prep the band clamp and then just slide that back onto the intake hosing where it belongs. Now I'm gonna have my band clamp kind of hidden, just because I decided to have it kind of hidden. And I'm gonna have mine on the bottom, so you can actually have this any way you want. I'm gonna have mine right on the bottom, just so it's hidden. Just so it looks nice, it looks cleaner, and it's hidden. All right, guys, so now that the intake assembly is back to where it was, now we can go ahead with reinstalling it in the truck. Like I said before, if you have old parts and they have a core charge, back in the box they go. There we go. Old part is in and new part is installed. Now let's go ahead, disconnect the negative terminal from the battery. We're gonna go ahead and do that. You always wanna make sure that you disconnect the negative terminal from your battery whenever you're working on electrical parts, so you don't cause a short and possibly damage your truck or its electrical system. So like I said, guys, now we are going to move on to the starter. So the starter is what it looks like right here. You have a pinion gear in here that turns the flywheel. If you have a manual car, it'll turn the flywheel, and that's what causes it to start and turn turn over the motor. So this is the part we're gonna be replacing. So to do this, all you really need is just a 10 mil socket set. And as you guys can see, there's one bolt right there that I already got to work loosening up. So let's take that bolt the rest of the way out. Now you also want to be careful kind of because there could be some rust. Ooh. I'm not sure if that's even healthy anymore. That's supposed to be longer, or is that just me? You also want to always keep a short hand on your parts, such as your screws and bolts. So I'm just gonna set all of my bolts that I use next to my new starter, and that way they will all be there whenever I go to put them in. So another thing that you want to do is you also want to disconnect a bunch of these wiring harnesses. Now mine are all kinds of whack because this thing is just so rusted. The wire looms are just all kinds of destroyed. This one's in three pieces, and the wiring harnesses are actually right up here. So that means this part right here, where all the wires are going to connect to, this part right here, this is going to be facing up. So the starter is going to be sitting like this, connected to the block. And then this side right here, which is the pinion gear side, that'll go into the side of the block, and that's what will turn the motor on. So now we want to go ahead and disconnect all our wires. I believe you can kind of use your new starter to take a look at what size bolts these are. What size nuts they are. I got a 10 mil, but clearly a 10 mil is not big enough for this, so I'm gonna have to go bigger. 10 mil is for the mounting bolt that actually connects to the starter that mounts it to the chassis. So now we're gonna wanna switch our sockets here. I'm just gonna back up. Now this is easy. Ow. Okay, I just whacked my head off my tire. That did not feel good. It's always easier if you have a lift, like a 2-post or 4-post lift. And it also helps if you're working in the driveway and you don't have a lift, to have a creeper, because, well, I don't have a creeper. All right, so now we want a slightly bigger socket. So I'm gonna move up to an 11 mil, and let's see where that gets us. Nope, still slightly too small. All right, let's try a 12 mil. No, really? All right, go to 13 mil. You guys can clearly tell that I am not good with determining sizes yet. I will be, eventually. So if you ever have a cobalt set like one of these, and because mine is still pretty new, even though despite the fact that I'm missing... What in the hell? I just got that on video. Jesus Christ, that just scared the hell out of me. Birds just flew from under my truck, went over there, started fighting, or mating, whatever the hell they're doing. Oh my God, that actually kind of scared me, not gonna lie. I did not expect that. All right, so it's a 13 mil. It's easier if you have an extension such as this. This is a 3-inch, 3/4 inch drive extension. It's a 3-inch extension. So now we want to take off our old 10 mil socket that we used to take it off. Make sure you keep it out. So kind of like put it in a place like this where you're not going to lose it. And that way you'll be able to just grab it, put it back on, and bolt down that one bolt that holds in the starter to the block. All right, now let's go under here. All right, let's go and loosen up these connections here. Got to move up a little bit. Okay. So now we're gonna go in there with our 3-inch extension. I apologize if you guys can't really see this, but you just kind of want to go in there and just start cracking them loose. It's a lot easier if you have a swivel socket or a swivel ratchet instead of a regular angular ratchet like this one. It also helps if you guys have a longer ratchet, unlike me. This is the longest ratchet that I own. But if you have something longer, something that swivels more, something with a little bit more university in its movement, then it makes this job go a lot easier, especially if you have power tools. If you have power tools, always stick with the power tools instead of hand tools. But as you guys can see, it is completely doable just by using a basic ratchet set and socket set. And this is also just to show you guys that this can be done with hand tools. This is not just to hate on power tools and stuff like that. I'm not hating on power tools. I prefer power tools actually, but this is just to show you guys that hand tools do work in case scenarios like this where you don't have a unlimited amount of resources in terms of power tools. But this is just to give you guys who don't have power tools such as me a little bit of boost in confidence and show you that it can be done. So don't get discouraged if you don't have power tools. Common hand tools are usually pretty usable on these older trucks, especially because it's just a matter of unbolting a few bolts and nuts and putting a new part on and then bolting it back in. That's really basic with these trucks, and this is just to show you guys that it can be done. So like I said, Chris Fix uses them, so why can't I? All right, so now we're gonna reach in back there. I'm gonna try and get that bolt off, which clearly it's still not loose enough. And I will get back to you guys when I get all these wiring harnesses undone and these bolts undone, and then we'll get to the reassembly, putting the wiring harnesses back on and reinstalling the new starter. So let's get to it. All right, guys. So now we're gonna go ahead and get this starter the rest of the way out. I'm gonna use my sunglasses as a prop here. So it's all just a matter of loosening up this bolt right here and this bolt right here, as well as all of the wiring harnesses on the back. You can see that I have went ahead and disconnect all of them already, and you have stuff falling on you. Okay, part of the job, getting dirty. All right, so now we're gonna take our 9/16 socket and we're just gonna back that bolt out the rest of the way. And the starter should just come right out. I keep hitting the exhaust with this thing. So now you guys can actually see, as I'm loosening the starter, you guys can see just how loose it is. When it's this loose, you want to be very, very careful when you're pulling this thing out, because you don't want to damage any of the teeth on the gears of the flywheel or the clutch or anything like that. This is connected right to your transmission. This is connected right to the transmission. The bell housing for the 4L60E is literally right here. So you want to be very, very careful when you're loosening these, because you don't want to damage anything when disassembling. So now we should be able to just back this bolt out the rest of the way by hand. Oh, okay, the starter just decided to fall right out. So now that the old starter's out, there is my core charge right there. All right, so now that the starter's out, we can go ahead and assess the damage. Oh my God, okay. This starter is fucked. So here we are assessing the damage of the starter. This thing has been through hell and back. Clearly you can tell that this thing is very well shot. This thing is pretty much done. There's some chips in the teeth on the pinion gear, so you can kind of see some wear from age on the pinion gear right there. You guys can kind of see the teeth are kind of a little bit scarred up. But now I'm gonna remove this bolt the rest of the way, and then we'll go ahead and install the new starter. Oh my God. This thing is really stuck in there. I might need some PB Blaster for that. I don't even know if I have any more PB Blaster. Damn it. Now, once again, guys, when you got a core charge, always save the parts. Wait, I forgot. I threw the box in the bed. You also want to check and make sure that there's not any extra hardware that you might have left in there. In this case, there's nothing. It's just a starter. Put this old one back in. There we go. That's 2 parts done. Now we just gotta put the new one in. Now installation, you guys, is the reverse of disassemble. So now I'm just gonna set you guys over there. Let's grab our new starter. Now let's go ahead, mount her up, see what we can do. Hopefully this thing will start afterwards. Okay. Oh, a piece of rust just went in my ear. Oh, get that out. Oh my God. Oh, that was nasty. That felt awful right there. All right, guys. So now that I got one of the bolts in, I'm gonna go ahead and reverse my socket wrench to tighten. I'm just gonna go ahead and drive this back in. So now that we actually have one of the bolts in, we can go ahead and reinstall our wiring harnesses before we go any further, just to make sure that everything is connected upright. So that way the actual thing will start and we won't have to disassemble anything. We can actually just go ahead and test it. All right. So now that we have that one bolt in, we can actually go ahead and start reassembling everything and start connecting up all the wires again. Now, if you're an idiot like me, I actually lost the bolt that's supposed to go on this terminal. So I'm just gonna go ahead and reuse the old one. Once again, that's another good reason why you always save parts, just in case you ever need something. Like in my case scenario, I lost a bolt, or I lost a nut that goes on the end of a stud for the terminals. Now we're gonna go ahead. Oh, we got nut and washer. Oh, it's a washer nut, that's why. All right, so now we're gonna go ahead. I believe this is a ground wire. I'm gonna go ahead, thing go. I keep losing shit. Why me? Why do I keep losing shit? Come on. All right guys, so now we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna tighten down the last nut, and then we'll tighten down the last bolt, and then we will go ahead and see if this thing will start. It's about an hour-long job. It's actually really, really easy. Like I said, it's also really easy, especially on these K1500 trucks. They've been making these motors for 5 decades. Well, they made these motors for 5 decades, but now they don't make them anymore. They don't make the 5.7. That was replaced by the 5.3 liter Vortec that was later found in the Flat Eye Silverado and on. I'm willing to call it now, you guys. This video is gonna have a lot of bloopers. I stupid. All right, guys, starter's in. Now it's time for the moment of truth. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and reconnect the negative terminal on the battery. Let's go ahead and reinstall that. Okay. Now it is time for the moment of truth. Will she start? I keep forgetting my outside door handle on the driver's side does not work. So in the future projects, what we're gonna do, you guys, is I have to replace my multi-function switch right here because my turn signals don't work. And I also gotta replace the thermostat still, but I'm gonna do that in a later video because this video has already taken way longer than it should have. Oh, that sounds so much better. Nice. Oh yeah. She's definitely leaking from the exhaust manifold. Woo. Yeah, that's definitely coming from the exhaust manifold. Well, looks like it's time to order some new ones off Summit Racing. So as you guys can clearly see, the OBS is finally back on the road. I really love this truck, you guys. I don't know about you, but if you guys really love an OBS and you guys want to see more content with this OBS, then be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel at Surgie Studios. Go check it out. I'm gonna be making much more content with this truck and it's gonna be awesome. So with that being said, thank you all for watching and I'll see you guys in the next one. Stay Surgie, peace out.